This happened a long time ago, about 10 years or so, but I never forgot about it, and it still gives me the chills. I was in my early 20s. At the time I had a female dog named Nina, a boxer. She passed away when she was 8 from lung cancer. I miss her a lot. Nina was very energetic, so I took her to long walks around the neighborhood, usually at the end of the day around 4 to 6 p.m., when it wasn't too hot, but not dark either. One thing you must know about Nina is that she loved people. She did not get along with other dogs, but every time she saw someone walking by us, she would shake her tail and wants to get closer and asks for pets. One day, we went on our walk as usual. Everything was fine for most of it. I saw a few other dog tutors walking their dogs and an old couple sitting in front of their house chatting. And then when we were alone, Nina suddenly started growling. One thing I didn't mention, I am graduated in biology and specialized in animal behavior. At the time this story happened, I was finishing college. So yeah, I used to pay a lot of attention to my dog's behaviors and had quite a lot of knowledge on dog behavior because it was my favorite subject in the area. Dogs can see movement much better than us, so things like an eyebrow raise or a little tension on the shoulders they can easily pick up. So of course, a dog growling doesn't sound that weird. Nina did growl to other dogs and cats when she saw them. But this was different. It was very low and all the fur of her back was up. Her entire behavior was of alarm. And then I noticed she was looking back while growling. So I looked behind me. In the distance, like a block away, I saw a man. This made me even more alert, because Nina never growled at anyone in the street before. She never stopped walking by my side or tried to pull away. But she kept this low growl and kept looking at this man. I started to freak out and turn the next block. She stopped for a second, but when we reached the next corner she started growling again, and he was there again. He didn't try to talk, call me, and his expression was serious, kinda emotionless. I kept walking in random patterns, and he was always there. That man was definitely following me. At some point, our distance started to shrink, and Nina's growling was getting stronger. So when I turned the next corner, I just started running while he couldn't see me. I ran down about 4 blocks in the direction of an area I knew had more traffic and people around. I stopped to get my breath and looked behind me. He was far away, right in the corner where I started running. Just there, standing and looking at me. Nina was looking at him, still with her alarmed posture. After a minute he turned around and went away in the same direction, and at that moment, Nina finally relaxed. I kept paying attention to Nina's behavior the entire way back to my house later, but she was just her normal happy self. I told this story to my parents and few neighbors, and no one seemed to know of any man that looked like him. I never saw that man again, and Nina never behaved like that again either, so I'll never know who he was or why he was following me, but I definitely do not regret trusting Nina's instincts. So people, please pay attention to your pet's behaviors as much as you can. It's not about a supernatural sixth sense. They can actually feel, see, and hear things better than us, and there's no behavior that happens for no reason. There's always a reason. One of my favorite places to go on walks is the city cemetery. It's quiet, shaded, and next to a mildly busy intersection should something out of the ordinary happen. Sometimes there are other walkers to politely smile to, other times there are mourners to politely avoid, and there is wildlife like geese, squirrels, and an occasional owl. I was in the old part of the cemetery when this happened. It's smaller than the main cemetery, but more hilly for better cardio. A large white SUV with tinted windows pulls into the cemetery. No big deal. Probably not mourners as this portion is so old, The most recent grave that I have seen was dated from 1960, with the vast majority come from 1800s, but maybe looking for a family grave for history's sake. I know where they are going as to not disturb them, but they don't stop. Again, not a problem. The plates were out of county, so I figure they're looking for a plot. I adjust course to give them space. As a history nerd, I think how cool it is to see someone tracing their history. We talk a lot about shivers up the spine, or neck hairs standing up around here, and that's what happened to me. This SUV was not stopping. Instead, they started to follow me. I adjusted course again, and they did too. At one point they were directly parallel to me, just a series of plots away. By now, I had shut my music off but kept my earbuds in. I slowed my pace and made sure to acknowledge them. Yes, I see you, creepy SUV. Keep your distance and I will keep mine. I noticed that they have a passenger window, rear rolled down, and a woman in the back seat. She quickly ducks down when she saw me staring at them. The driver and the front passenger still have their windows up. This SUV had now slowed down even more, almost to a stop, and I picked up my pace and did a little half jog across the lawns. That little voice in my head was telling me to stay calm and alert, but to get going. I pulled out my phone to call my husband to tell him what was up while I gripped my car key in my fist, not between my knuckles, as a makeshift weapon. The moment I did this, the SUV moved again to pace the rows. I made it to my car, and they had maneuvered themselves to face my vehicle, albeit almost the full way across the cemetery. When I left, they did too. Now, logically, they were probably looking for a plot. The lady in the back seat was no older than 25, so she probably got embarrassed when she realized how weird her family members looked, following me around like that. And who targets people in a cemetery? But what if? And why follow me after I changed course? When I was in high school, I had a strange encounter riding my bike home from work. When I was a senior in high school, I worked at a Target store from about 4 p.m. until 10 p.m. 4 to 5 nights a week. After helping close the store, see out the registers, and other final closing tasks, my coworkers and I were usually out of the building and on our way home before 10:30 p.m. The store was not too far from a bike path that also went close to my home. It took me about 15 to 20 minutes to ride my bike home from work down a bike path in a large subdivision. At about the midway point home, there was a section of the bike trail that went through an undeveloped field and was very poorly lit. I remember I was slowing down to change the radio station on my CD Walkman/radio. Yes, I am dating myself here, when suddenly I see a dark figure about 100 feet/30 m away from me on my right start running at me from the dark field. Fight or flight instantly kicked in, and I started riding my 18-speed mountain bike so fast I felt like I could have qualified for the Tour de France. As I was escaping, I took a quick peek back and saw the guy in black attempting to chase after me for a few moments. Needless to say, what was normally a 15 to 20 minute bike ride turned into a 5-minute top speed and top gear bike ride home. I also obviously didn't sleep well that night, but I still occasionally think about that encounter in my darker moments.